Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I'm Parker Emerald, and this is The Conversation Station. Our guest today is someone that I am really honored to have on. He was on my first episode, and he is a master in business and marketing and is one of the people I look up to the most. So please give a warm welcome to my friend Rodney Ferrell. Thank you for coming on, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you. Man, a whole year. Wow.
A whole year.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's so the day this releases will be one day before 1 year of the podcast. And so we've done 9 episodes in that year, but we've done 4 episodes in the last month, so we're ramping up production. I mean, now I have an actual studio space to record in, so it's really coming along.
That's beautiful, man. I mean, it's just even staying consistent and just doing it. I heard something I think is really incredible. It's like, you don't have to be great to get started, but you got to get started to be great. So a lot of people stop right there because they don't know how to do something or whatnot, but just getting started and getting the rhythm going. So kudos to you, man. Congratulations. This is very exciting to see your progression and growth, man. Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
One thing I talked about with a previous guest was the fact that that when I've been recording the podcast, I've had no doubts about it being successful. You don't have doubts when you're doing it. It's when you stop. It's when something doesn't go right in an episode and you don't want to put that episode out, and then you get out of rhythm.
Yeah, got it.
And you start doubting yourself. But when you're consistent, the consistency builds confidence, and the confidence builds success.
Absolutely.
So keeping things rolling is the most important part of anything you do in life.
That's right. Keeping it rolling. Like, how do you get there if you're not going there?
Absolutely.
How do you get there if you're not going there?
Yeah. I'm gonna go to the store, but I'm just gonna sit in my car.
Right.
Not gonna hit the gas.
Not gonna hit the gas. Not gonna move. Yeah.
Like if you get to a stop sign, but when the car passes in front of you, you don't keep going, you're not gonna get there.
Exactly.
Life is just a bunch of stop signs.
You got it. And
truly.
Exits. don't forget about that. The exits.
The exits.
The stop signs. And
absolutely.
You gotta get back on the food. Right. Oh man.
So I want to start off with asking you about your journey. How did Rodney get to where he is today?
Man, that's a good one, and it's deep and long, and for me, I'm really into just making sure that I can utilize my story as some form of inspiration or figure out a way to make an impact, right? So, born in the 80s in Los Angeles, that for me, growing up in Los Angeles during that time, I was a kid that grew up really, really early. I had some awesome parents, and they were just, I would call them what we would say today, movers and shakers. They were always, trying to figure things out, making it happen. We moved to Northern California when I was about 10 or something like that, early childhood. But what that did for me, it gave me the opportunity, Parker, to see things and be a part of a diverse environment mix. So what moving up north did for me was I got a chance to see different possibilities, different people, different environment. And I also had a father who was an entrepreneur. And my mom was a leader. So I had 2 parents that were extremely focused. They had the entrepreneur spirit. When I was about 11, they started a janitorial service and a janitorial business, and they were doing multiple stores of Rayleigh's in Northern California, from the Bay Area, I think even to Grass Valley as well. And I got a chance to work and see and experience. Just imagine being 11, 12 years old, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and you are sweep, mop, scrubbing, and buffing a large grocery store, and you're able to see your father lead a team. And here's someone who didn't graduate from high school. Here's someone who, we were learning to read together as I was a kid, right? So to see progression like that, it was rooted in me to have a strong work ethic because I seen both of my parents do what's necessary to make sure that I had a better life, right? So that was, I looked at my parents were like individuals who passed the baton to me. So again, I was blessed and lucky to have individuals like them that instilled, again, quality work ethic, commitment, consistency, just hard work. And we came from a tough place. So, when things get tough, you get tougher and you plow through it, and you keep your faith strong, and you wake up and you say to yourself, you know what, man, I'm blessed to be alive, and let's go get it again. So from there, that transition of, I would say, the deep rooted conditioning that I had from my parents led to me having a very strong work ethic. I went into the real estate industry when I was about 18 years of age, and I would say that experience right there while I was going to Sac State. That experience to me was really important for me to understand like entrepreneurship and business, because I was around a lot of individuals who were really good at their craft of mortgage and real estate sales, and that right there, I was able to just follow the system and look at individuals who were already doing something that I wanted to do and they were successful at it. So, what I've learned when I was young is if it's possible for one, it's possible for many, right? So, a lot of times you see someone do something. I never had the thing that, oh, I can't do that. If I see someone do something, I realize that I can also do it. I just have to shut up and listen, and I literally have to implement the tools and principles that they're utilizing, and then duplicate
You
that
got to be a
process. You
copycat
got
to a
it,
degree.
exactly. So just let's duplicate success. So I just started stacking that up and duplicating success, and moving from industry, from real estate to the digital real estate, which I call from web development to online marketing to coaching, mentoring, etc. But I would say this, to give you this, the process remains the same, right? I believe in, service to many leads to greatness, and that right there has always been the foundation of anything I do. So whether you're talking about a janitorial industry, whether you're talking about a mortgage industry or real estate industry, or you're talking about a tech industry, or even a marketing industry, if you will, for some sort, you're still helping other people. You're still serving an
Yeah.
organization to help a group of people.
The more value you give, the more value you get.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, you could be providing value to someone for $0. In fact, you could be paying them to give them value. But then let's say 3 years down the line, they're going to come to you with something that they need help on, and they'll be like, "Well, Rodney gave me all of this back in 2016. Well, now it's 2022 and
You
I
got it.
need someone to run this for me.
You got it.
I'm going to go to Rodney first because he was there for me when I didn't have the money to pay him."
Boom. Exactly. Exactly. And thank you for saying that, because that's exactly what it is that I do. Right? You got to put the wood in
Yeah.
before you expect the fire. And to me, that's the equivalent of how we call investing. Is to me, it's contributing, right? So taking the time to contribute your value and
Yeah.
your assets to others, and then down the road, that's where the faith comes in, because sometimes it might not come from that person that you directly support. But the universe will see that you get paid in
Absolutely.
like kind.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and even if it doesn't come from Jim the barber,
Right.
he's gonna tell Larry, this other guy who came in, and now Larry's gonna give you a call because he's gonna see what you did for this other guy.
Exactly.
And that kind of leads me into one of the points that we had talked about a couple months ago when we were going down to San Francisco for a project,
Yep.
and we were talking about how relationships build everything. Because if you have a relationship with someone who has a relationship with someone else, you now have a relationship with that someone else, and so that so it's the bigger your network, you can go anywhere. You can all you have to do is decide where you want to go and go, you
You
know?
got it. One of the speaking of that, one of the books that I'm working on is HSC, the pyramid with humans at the top, systems on the left, capital on the right. And most people solely just focus on the C area. And the process is the focus is on humans, meaning your vision comes alive by supporting people. So you're right. If you have a huge network and you're known for providing value to that network, that provides you with access, resources, connections. And that is exactly what you need to get to where you want to go. Because if you say to yourself, or anyone says, hey, I want to build a multi-million-dollar business, well, you need people to do that. So if you're
Yeah.
skipping the people and you're only focused on the money, usually you have no emotional support to your team or to your investors or to your clients or partners, because your focus is redirected on the tool, which is money. The actual real focus is on how can I best serve my investors, team members, clients, and partners. How do I
Yeah.
add value
I mean, money,
to, yep, and that
yeah,
comes,
add
yeah,
value.
because that's the byproduct, right?
Value is everything. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like money is just a means to
You
an
got it.
end, but that's the means, but you need the people to do the work or the people to give you the means, because
Right.
like right now I'm working on a project with the local youth center
Right.
to run a podcast for them, and I'm not getting paid for that. That's fully me volunteering to completely run a podcast. But the value there is I'm going to be providing them value with a podcast. So if or when I launch a podcast business, they're going to be like, well, he ran this for us and he did it for free, and look at where it got us. And the other piece of value is that I'm not getting paid for that, but how I'm getting paid is in knowledge, because I had to do a bunch of research to budget out their equipment and
Yes.
figure out the best system and figure out how we optimize, all these different people coming in, and how do we optimize the workflow to get these episodes out.
You got it.
And so learning how to optimize that is so ridiculously important.
Very, very important. Very important. I love that, man. It's just it is crazy to me that a lot of times we really ignore how that part of the game works. Like, even if you look at a business, it's literally a group of people serving another group of people. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
It's just people and people.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
It's
Right?
there's money is a factor, but money isn't a factor.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
You know?
it's a very important tool to understand and to master, and set versus letting it master you. You know, but yeah, that the journey is also, and I want to make sure I add in there the personal development aspect of, constantly reading and learning and growing. It's one of those things that I think once we're done with, traditional schooling, or whatever route we choose to take, I would encourage individuals to learn, right? So if you want to learn how to be a successful business individual, study the practices, study the principles, study yourself.
And surround yourself with successful business people.
100%.
It's like,
Makes sense.
I'm like, okay, I want to be like, this is kind of like, this is a real world example of what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, I want to be successful in business, but in the digital space. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to surround myself with Rodney. I'm going to talk to Rodney. I'm going to work on projects with Rodney. I'm going to get value from Rodney and give value to Rodney. And every time I hang out with him, I become more and more like Rodney. You know?
And by the way, and thank you for that, but I want to say and let individuals know, I got to take my hat off to you, because you've been rocking for a minute. Like, we've been doing projects and content and commercials, and I mean, we just got back from San Francisco. like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and that's major. And not many people, can say that they've been in so many different rooms and participating and watching and viewing and adding value. So kudos to you for doing that. And having faith and being strong and committed to doing it. So that's awesome, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Truly my pleasure.
absolutely. I think that my favorite part of that project, because it was so cool to hear what that lady had to
Yeah.
bring to the table. But the coolest part was the fact that we had to sign NDAs, because you feel so cool. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm dealing with confidential information,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It's like that. It's like that,
You're like,
especially
I've
in the
got
city.
information that could topple an
Yeah,
industry.
you're right, especially in the city. Especially in the city.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's
That
good.
was a really
Yeah,
fun project
yeah,
to work
and that
on.
and
And I think the
uh,
what were you
no,
saying?
I was gonna say really quick. She was an example of what you said. For probably about a year, myself and the team, we were consistently contributing. Right. Previously, she worked for a large organization as well, and so we were just constantly figuring out different ways and strategies to serve. How do we help? How do we help your situation thrive? Right. How do we take what your results
Yeah.
and your goals are, and how do we help you bridge that gap by communicating and developing a content system for you so your audience knows more about what you do and how you do it and why you do it.
Yeah, yeah. And then she's starting her own business and all that,
Right. Fast
and
forward.
now she came to you guys
You got it.
first.
Exactly.
And and the cool thing is to see she had everything figured
Yeah.
out and she didn't even know it yet. She didn't realize how how incredible what she'd put together was, and it was crazy to me to watch her talk about the stuff like she's unsure. I'm like, you have every
Yeah.
connection you need.
All of
And
it.
how did she do that? She built relationships with
Exactly.
all these people.
You got it.
And so it's like now that you're working with her and she's working with these people and these people are working with other people, like human connection is exponential.
Man, you might that right there. Yeah, soundbite clip right there. It is exponential. Your network can definitely become your net worth, and it is so overlooked, so much, and it's like
Okay, I
so important.
yeah, it's so overlooked. I just came up with like a title of like a documentary or
Yeah,
like a
what
book
you got?
or like a little like info set series on like relationships. Like connection is currency. Your
I
what
like
did you
that.
just say? You said your network is your net
Yep,
worth. So it's connection is currency. Subtitle: Your network is your net worth.
yep,
And then and then you like and then you connect with people and then you build the connection more.
100%.
It's
And then what
it's
people don't
all it's
realize, and
about.
then that's your brand. So
Yeah.
you're adding value, you're building these connections and relationships, and individuals talk and they communicate. So now when people are talking about you, what comes out is the value you've contributed, the patience you had, the process of you helping them or educating them, the strategies that you've been able to donate, the other connections. See now what's starting to happen, Parker, is now I'm starting to step back and see, okay, this side of the network needs to be friends with this side of the network. Introduce, edify, and get out of the way. Now it's
Absolutely.
doing exactly what you're talking about. That exponential growth is 100% happening. All right. So it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. It's not easy. It's not easy. But it's very simple to understand, but it's worth it, right? It's worth it. I would say this is another thing in life. I would say doing the hard things is so worth it because they instill in you like this level of discipline and the level of growth that happens when you go hard on something and do the things that most are not willing to do. To me, I mean that's where you get to that success part, because freedom is not free, or whatever you desire or whatever result you're trying to accomplish or wish to accomplish. It's not free. There is work that needs to be done to accomplish that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
nothing is free, and everything and some things may be like they're not free. You're either taking value from something or giving value. The closest to free you're gonna get is when you do both.
Got it. Got it. Willingly give and gracefully receive, because just like breathing, you need to do both. We just can't do one of them. You can't just inhale. Like
Yeah,
you got you got you got to do the other part. The other part, it goes together, right? You know what I'm saying? Circle of life.
absolutely.
Circle of life.
I think that's just it's always interesting to me where one thing I've noticed from
Hmm.
podcasting and from talking to you about it is it's like if you need content, like for a business,
Yeah.
a podcast is the perfect way to build content and connection because you get the content and you get the footage and you get the value from that to drive people to your business, but you bring in guests and those guests add to the connection aspect. And so you're doing two things at the same time. You're expanding your network and you're expanding your audience, and that audience is where you get paid
You got
because
it.
your audience is the one that's gonna buy your products.
You got it.
It's incredible. It is incredible what you just said right there. Right there. I just have to can you hear me now?
Yes, I
Okay,
can.
one second. I just actually want you to repeat that. I want you to repeat that.
Okay. Well, what I was saying is that the podcast is the perfect, like what I've just discovered recently. It's the perfect balance in order to get connection and content, because you have the podcast, you get all these clips and all this content, but then when you have guests on, you build that connection.
Right.
And so you're building your network and your net worth literally at the same time.
Exactly. Incredible. Like, it's incredible. It's so clean, it's so sleek. It's just, and the other side, your community, your network that you're inviting on, they also need content too, to express who they are and what they got going on. Oh man, it's a beautiful win-win. And that's what I try to look for too. It's like, what is the greatest win-win? What is the highest and best use for our time? We can never get this hour
Absolutely.
back. Right?
Yeah.
We can never get that moment back. So how do we maximize that moment for the both so we can actually have a win-win? It's incredible, man.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing. Another thing that people forget about in business is your clients and whoever it is. You need to provide them as much value as they're giving you in order for that relationship to stay strong. Whether it be you're building a house for them, you need to give, and even if you give more to them than the value you're receiving back, inherently they will end up in the end providing you with more value down the line because they'll see the value you gave them.
All day.
It's about providing the right amount of value, and not even the right amount. Give as much value as you physically can without burning out.
Yeah.
It's all it's
No,
about.
I like the farming analogy. You know what I mean? It's just like, when you're farming, it's your job and responsibility to plant the seeds and do your part. Mother Nature's going to do her part, right? And when if you were to, I'm just going to plant this one seed and expect a large, wonderful harvest. That's naive to the plate. So like most people, they start a business and, hey, I talked to 5 people to see about them either investing in my business idea or being a client or being a partner or being a team member. So out of those 4 sections of investor, team member, client, and partner, you talk to 5 people, right? So that's not enough seeds of value, right, that you're giving to the marketplace for them to decide whether that is the right idea for them to invest in, or whether that's the right idea for them to be a team member of, or whether that's the right idea for them to be a client for, or whether that's the right idea for them to partner up with you on. Right? So you need to have enough conversation stations consistently enough, which is called planting the seeds of value, which is your communication system. So that way you can actually see some growth from the activity of action that you're taking.
Yeah. And that's something I was just thinking while you were talking there. I'm like, even with this podcast currently, because I've already built a network and my parents have built such a great network, I've been able to kind of like ping, and even quickly I've had people reaching out about coming on the podcast. But it's like the more people I reach out to, the more I'm gonna get. And I usually take the last week of the month to fully, because that's what I did the last week of October. And so now I got to take this last week and I reach out to as many people as I can possibly think of that fit the message and fit they fit the mission,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And so I reach out to as many as I can possibly think of. And if I end up launching the podcast management business that I'm throwing around and thinking about doing, it's like, okay, I'm gonna go to down to the two downtowns, and I am going to go in and sell myself to each and every store in there. There's a good chance I won't get any, but let's say, and then I'm gonna go online and I'm gonna put something out and I'm going to send a DM to every business in the area.
Yes.
And then after that, it's going to be like, well, now every single business in the area knows I'm here. Maybe none of them want my services right now, but they have networks.
Exactly.
And they're going to be like, wow, this 15-year-old just reached out to me about managing and launching a podcast. He gave me 50 reasons why I should do it, outlined the Gary V content strategy and how he would apply it to my business. And this isn't the right time, but dude, Jeff, you should totally give this guy a call.
Period.
Yeah, exactly.
Now do that. Do that 100 times a day. Let me know what happens. And then when you don't have enough bandwidth, this is the beautiful part about life. You then open up an opportunity for someone else to do that part.
Oh yeah. And that's another thing. It's like, okay, I realized that that when it comes to the podcast side of things, the thing that takes up the most amount of time is making clips. But I looked on Fiverr, I can pay someone $10 to give me 5 clips. So it's like, okay, I mean, if you're gonna be paying me, let's say $25 an hour, and I can save 3 hours of my time. And let's say it was costing me $25 to pay this person, right? For these 5 clips. And you want 1 clip that's what I'd say, 1 clip per weekday. And I just paid this person 1 hour to do 3 hours of work that would take me and give my client one piece of content for every day of the week. It's like, well, now I am just optimizing the investment.
You got it. That's it. And everybody wins because the price point that you're providing for your client is sufficient enough while they're learning and they don't know too much about it. But it's like, oh man, I can do that. That's great pricing right there, $25 an hour as an example you're showing. And then the person that you're working with from the different country, that pricing is also awesome for them as well. See, and that right there becomes I'm a firm believer of abundance, man, and that is a true win-win-win. There is enough for everyone.
Absolutely.
Right? So you don't have to come into the game thinking you have to do someone dirty to win. No. Actually go into the game figuring out how to make the other person win. That's the win.
Absolutely.
That's the win.
Well, yeah, I mean, inevitably, like if as a basketball player, you're just there to work hard enough to get the money, you're not going to get the money.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go in there to build a culture and turn this trash Kings franchise into the best team in basketball, you're going to get paid that bag, and you're going to be wildly successful. So going into every situation, trying to make it a net positive for whoever you're serving.
That's it.
Is the best thing you can possibly do in any field.
Man, I'm just gonna say this. This is it's incredible to watch you. This is gonna be an incredible journey to view and be a part of, man. I'm super proud of you, man. Even just the conversation on the conversation station is just super dope. Incredible. I mean, these and here's what I want to say too. Everything is not gonna be sunshine and roses, right? Some of the people you work with and maybe you've contributed with, and maybe it's been a year. All of a sudden they don't call you back, or all of a sudden they don't want to rock with you. And all of a sudden they make another decision or make a decision that, you feel like is not right for your inside and internal self and team, etc. So you have to make a tough decision and things like that. Life is also both. But the point that I'm saying here with this conversation is making sure that we have the ability to focus on the net positive value attribute. And if we just keep that a part of our flow, believing that the secret of living is given, it's that's a now you sleeping well at night, knowing that you wake up and you
Yeah,
give it your all. To me, that's the concept of giving it your all. When you wake up and you say to yourself, how can I give my all? First person I need to give my all to is myself. So what do I need to do to give to me so I can be the best me version, so I can communicate externally to my relationships, business, finance, all the other things that are outside of me, you know? Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And I think one of those things is with providing that positive value when it gets to the point where you have to make that decision to let the client go,
Yeah.
or things just don't align anymore. The more respectful you are about it and looking at those net positives and turning this opportunity into another net positive is it's when your client has to leave, but you did it in the most respectful, like, gentleman way
Right.
possible. Now instead of being like, yeah, I couldn't work with this guy anymore. He was just blah blah blah. And when I told him that he was rude, instead, when someone comes up to him and says, what happened to your content guy? We just had to part ways. He was really respectful about it. Things we were just going a different way with the brand. But now the person that came up to them knows you're respectful, and who knows, maybe that's your next client.
Exactly. 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 And check this one out. It's you win some, you learn some. You win some, you learn some.
Yeah,
Right? And then rocking with your, rocking with your parents over the years, and some of the things that learn with them and learn together is the knows they build you, they build character in you when you do go out and you reach out to these 100 people a day or 100 businesses a day or whatever, however the number goes down for you. And those knows, they actually are learning processes within that. And the yeses build your business. But the no's, they're building your character, they're building your emotional fitness, all of the things that most people can't see by just actively doing it. So yeah, it's
absolutely.
awesome, man. Awesome.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I think that we've done a good job currently of talking about is the importance of content.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, what do you think? Where do you think that importance comes from? And truly, what makes content so valuable?
I think it's technology and human behavior. I think we are a set of humans that we love each other without saying it. And let me say what I'm saying right now. If we didn't love each other, we would not be so in tune with each other in part of the scroll so we can see what's happening with each other. Right? So with
Yeah,
when you are looking or you are studying from a business perspective and you say I want this business to be successful and thrive, that means I need to understand that this business is managing a marketing result. So if I'm managing a marketing result, that means I have to tune into the market. So if I'm tuning into the market, I have to listen to understand what humans are doing on a daily basis. So that means I have to understand where their attention lies. Their attention lies in the mobile device and they're scrolling on a consistent basis. So that would imply that, oh, okay, well, first off, if I want to communicate to a marketplace, because this business is managing a marketing result, I need to meet them where they're at. So where are they at? Oh, so my audience, my marketplace is on Instagram as an example. So that means whether
yeah,
I like Instagram or not, whether I enjoy social media or not, if I'm looking to speak to someone and they're in the Instagram community, well, then I probably should go over there to talk to them. It's not about how I feel about the
absolutely.
platform. It's about me serving that human and saying, hey, listen, Lisa, I potentially have something for you. I know and I heard based on my research and data that you have a problem with X, Y, and Z. I have solved that. And I just want to basically introduce myself and say, this may be for you. To have that conversation and structure it in a way that has clarity and that has a structure behind it that gives that person the understanding so they can make a decision, that's value. So that
Yeah,
part to me is what makes valuable content, um, from the body side of it. The front end of it, we have to understand the human dynamics. When Lisa goes on Instagram, 80% of the time she's probably going on there to break away and want to be entertained. So in order
absolutely.
for me to grab her attention, I may have to add in value from a perspective of making sure that it's entertaining, it's engaging, and it's enrolling. So let me make sure I entertain her, simultaneously make sure I'm engaging with that information, and then I can enroll her into what it is that I'm offering. Right. So that all those things wrapped
Absolutely.
together to me, I think makes valuable content. And when you look at everything that we do in order to serve one another, I would say it's one big communication machine. Like, how do I serve?
Absolutely. I
Like, if I'm
mean,
not communicating to you, how am I serving you? Even if nonverbal,
absolutely.
even nonverbal, there's things that I could actually
Yeah.
do, or I can listen to a group of people and know that they need a bridge to be built, and just build the bridge for them. That's me communicating and
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, I was
Yeah.
listening."
And that's one of the cool things, and I think that that's another thing that what you were talking about with like finding the issue and bringing them the
Yeah,
solution. You the best thing you can do to get a client or something is don't come to them asking for their problem. Find their problem and come to them with the
you got it.
solution.
You got it.
Because then they're like, "Whoa, he took the time to research and do R&D into the problem and how to fix it before I even paid him a cent."
Before, before I even did it.
Yeah.
Before I did it. Yep. You got it. You got it.
And so then they're like, "Well, if this is what he did off the payroll, what's he going to do once he's on it?"
All
It's
that right
like,
there. That's a powerful statement, because that is absolutely correct. If I, if I, if Parker, if we're able to do this now, just imagine with consistency coming in, with a consistent, with so consistency create is a system, and then also on the consistency side for us as the person providing the value is also consistent revenue. So now you're taking the systems and the money and pushing them back up towards the people, the humans. So you're able to serve
yeah,
them, they're able to serve us with their energy or revenue, and we're able to put it back in. And then and guess what? The wheel is now moving. The vehicle is now moving. We are now bridging the gap from where we're at now to where we want to be. Because we are creating a win-win in a cohesive process, so we can actually communicate and add value to one another. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. I
Yeah.
would say
I
a very
mean,
exciting time,
it's
man. I think the content
absolutely.
process and the attention economy, and it's a new beginning of what's next. And
Absolutely. Because content's been around
yeah,
forever, but content's never been more accessible to both consume and produce.
ding 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 ding, exactly.
Like, yeah, I mean, my net cost for this podcast is total net cost. Like, I mean, I already had this equipment before starting, but since starting the podcast, total net cost it's cost me so far is $60, and 40 of that was just for sound foam. That's all. And then I'm paying for a better recording platform so that I can have higher fidelity audio than Zoom. That's all. It's just that. It's like, okay, and if that's all it takes, then I can monetize this. And all I have to do, I'm charging $25 an hour. And this is a year of podcasting cost me $60. A year of podcasting cost me
Come on now.
$60. If I monetize
Come on now.
this, and that means 3 hours of my time is
Ding 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 ding
$75,
ding.
it's a net positive in everything. It's like the minimum amount of time you have to put into content to get value from it, it's off the charts.
It's so. I'm gonna tell you what's so bizarre about this thing, right? It's like this conversation is no longer just one conversation. It has so many different layers to it. So many different layers to it. So this 1 hour
Yeah.
has so much exponential growth, so much compounding value and interest that it's ridiculous, and it's ongoing. Like this could be
Absolutely.
like, as an example, right now, this conversation, let's mark my words. And 5 years from now on November 20th, and 5 years from now on November 20th, we are going to be able to go back and look at this, review the views, review the comments, and there will be individuals in the comments that you or myself are currently working with because of this conversation that you and I had 5 years previous.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just going to put
crazy.
that in there. I'm going to
And
drop that right there, right
and
now.
this one
Huh?
conversation, it's one conversation between us.
Yes.
But someone watches the conversation, and now they have a conversation, and now that person has a conversation with someone else about the conversation, and you with one conversation created thousands.
It's yeah, man. It's bizarre,
It's
and
for,
I'm so glad that you made the decision to just jump on it, man. And I think a lot of times we just we're so blocked about, worried about, what someone else is going to think and someone else's opinions and other people's mindset, that it blocks us from just executing the most simple thing that's right in front of us. So kudos to your self-confidence, man, and your personal power to just execute. And you can tell from the mentorships you've been receiving, the personal power you already have, the studying you've been doing. That's what most need to make sure that we do, man, is just execute, make it happen.
absolutely. And I think one thing that was the biggest struggle for me with just executing is it's this thing in the world of education we call summer
Okay.
break.
Yep.
I think that a summer break from school where you're going in every day is valuable, but I think the biggest problem with our modern education
Yep.
system is people get on summer break and they don't pour into anything. And so that was my hardest thing this summer is I came up with all these excuses not to pour into the podcast. Some of them may have been valid, but none of them were good enough excuses. There's no excuse for not providing value. And I think that's one thing. If I were to change our education system in one way, it would be summer breaks can exist, but we need to encourage our students, and parents need to do this too. Give them something to pour value into during the summer. Find one of their hobbies and help them monetize it. They might make $3 the entire summer,
Yep.
but they provided
You got
value
it.
to someone.
Yep. You got it. No, that's it, man. That's it. It's the the learning doesn't stop. I was at, for my birthday week, I spoke on a panel at a nightclub out here in Sacramento, and one of the things I spoke about was the concept of just studying doesn't stop, right? So if I want to bridge the gap to where I'm at now to where I want to be, like, becoming means I'm becoming something. That means I got to learn and evolve to something, which means that the only way to go from fear to faith is through study. Like, you're gonna have more fear if you've never driven before ever, and you're gonna have way more faith if you practice.
Absolutely.
So it is
And
through
I
it's through
think
study.
I think the one another issue I find is that a lot of people's standards of studying is school. No one likes
Right.
school. So you need to learn that studying isn't school.
No.
Studying is whatever you're doing to get value.
Yes. What did you do?
So if I'm getting like I went with you to San Francisco and we joked around and had a ton of fun, but we also got an exponential amount of value. So I was studying like business stuff in that meeting. And a week later, I had a meeting with the leader of the youth center about the podcast. And I took the stuff I learned from that meeting and I repurposed it
Yes.
and I used it. So that was education. Education and school are two completely different things, two completely different games, and two completely different
Yep.
ballparks.
You got it.
And I think the link between studying and school, you study for school, but studying isn't school.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one, brother. You got it. 100%.
Yeah.
I think every day, bro, life is an opportunity to study yourself, to study others, to to study how you contributed value yesterday, and to bring it in today to say, okay, I want to add more to that, right? And even looking at your past as a school, so you can evaluate it and study that. Study what you did yesterday that you said, wait a minute, I got a lot of headway. So what did I do? Okay, let me duplicate that one. Let me toss this one out. Let me duplicate that one. Right? What's next? Every single day is an
Absolutely.
opportunity to study and learn, and go get that experience, and go to San Francisco and get uncomfortable, be in that boardroom meeting, and just be a fly on the wall and listen, and understand and take notes and all these different things, man. So absolutely, really like how you put that.
It's yeah, I think that I don't know, it's just interesting because it's one of the things I've learned through talking to business leaders on the Apogee mentorship calls.
Beautiful.
They don't give a crap about your education or no, about your schooling. They don't care. They care about the kind of person you are.
Facts. Yep.
You could have a Harvard degree in XYZ and you could go up to someone in that field. But if they don't like you as a person and you're not someone
Right.
who shows the want and need to learn, you're not going to get hired. But if I come in there to a job that said it required a master's degree with before I've even graduated from high school, and I show them that I will give them 100% and learn everything from them, I've got a better chance than the guy who's got the
Got
master's
it.
degree.
Yep. Oh, yeah, and then also in the relationship too. So you
Yeah,
come in here with the willingness
it's
to learn, the work ethic, the hunger, personal power, and the relationship, right? So yeah, man, there it
absolutely.
is. There it is.
So I have an interesting question for
Yeah.
you. And this question is one that that I have asked and have watched people ask to the mentors on Apogee calls. And you might have been asked it when you were on that call. And it's what was your most influential mistake? What mistake you made contributed most to directing you to becoming the man you are today?
Yeah, good question. I would say in one of the ones that stand out, because there's so many learning lessons, dude. I mean, I have, yeah. I'm nowhere near perfect. I fumble all day long. Um, I would say in 2008 when the market crashed, and I spent my checks before they came in. So if the during that time I had a pipeline, and tons of clients that were about to get their deals funded, so there's commissionable revenue that I had coming towards my direction, not just off of the loans that I did, but also the team that I had at the time. And um, once the economy crashed, I wasn't well diversified, and I didn't have any protection for myself. Um, and I would say I wasn't prepared for that. And by not being prepared, influenced the diversification of my process right now. Because when I do things now, I look at it from a wide opportunity net. Like basically, I learned something from Ray Dalio, having an all weather fund. So to me, the way I take that, and he talks about this process in his book, but the thing that I take from that is you want to be diversified. You want to have many things going on that's not non correlated, right? So the industries in this example, right? So yeah, still in the real estate industry, but I'm also in the tech industry. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Also in the food and beverage
And
industry.
then in the tech industry, you're also in the digital real estate
You got
industry.
it.
And if you're providing value to every industry, even if you're just in the video production industry, which I think production and content creation is something that it can't really crash because there's no value on content. It's creative
Yeah.
work. The value from content is the value that whoever you're providing it for gets out of it. So if you're providing value to real estate, to the financial industry, to X, Y, and Z industry, to every industry, one industry collapses, you're like, okay, I gotta take some of the resources I put here and put into this other industry. So I mean,
You got it. No, 100%,
yeah,
100%, 100%. Because now I then in certain situations become more valuable. If I know the economy goes like this, so when something is going like this, I may have some things that are going like this. So now I could actually, like you just said, I can say, okay, well now let's go over here since it's this season and this industry is thriving. And then what we can do is we take the success from there, and now we can donate and contribute to the ones that are going like this and figure out ways while it's going down. Maybe we can figure out ways to pivot and then help it accelerate even more, right? So all these different things and
absolutely.
thought processes came out of that situation, man. Like I think that we have a really misconception of what failure is. And maybe if we looked at it as it wasn't failure, it's just producing a result. Like what if, you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
and you
Like what
don't
if you
fail,
just
you
whatever
learn.
happens, you just produced a result. And off of that result, you take the data and then you evaluate and then you execute something that's okay, great. Hey, that when I did that, that's the result. That result was maybe a 1 and I need to get to a 10. So now I know I need to do some things better. I need to get better.
Absolutely.
Let me go study more. Let that be a reference point to what you need to do in terms of either value you need to gain within yourself so you can do a different strategy.
You could look at it like a scientific discovery. You just got more data. All you did was you got data. So
Got it.
you were looking for the result. You were looking to get to your hypothesis, but you failed, and from that you got data that you can evaluate and go more. And the more data you have, the more powerful
Got
you
it.
are as a person.
That's it.
Like if you're for me, if I'm going to start this podcasting business and I'm only producing 2 podcasts and they're somewhat successful, I can't charge someone as much, and I can't give as much value as someone who's produced 20 podcasts and each of them has, X amount of followers and X amount of listeners. But the thing is by being the smaller one, I'm going to fail an insane amount of times. I am going to mess up. I'm going to make my clips are going to be of the wrong parts, and I'm going to mess up some audio here and there.
Mhm.
But from that I'll be like, okay, next time, how do I optimize the audio? And if something breaks, it's all data, because the person who's been doing it for longer, the only advantage they have over you is data. It's the only
You got it.
advantage.
You got it.
So
Yep.
yeah, and
Yep.
then from that data, and then they might have the advantage of funds, but those funds came from getting data and turning that data into money. It's just they have one advantage.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all.
So go, yeah.
And
So go out there and go produce more results, so you can learn and collect more data and more data, so you can make better decisions, and better decisions produce greater results. You got it.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
love, I love this, man.
Yeah,
This is really cool. This is really cool. Yeah.
absolutely. So here's a fun little question. If you could give one piece of advice to your 15-year-old self, what would you give? What advice would you give?
So my 15-year-old self, um, that's a good one because I had a very interesting time frame during that time. Um, Mine is gonna be very, very simple, man. And to be honest with you, it's gonna be okay. Um, like that's probably it. Keep the faith, relax. It's gonna be okay. Um, and I know you want one thing, and that's a hard one. I really, you know what? I think I'm gonna stick with that, brother. You know why? Because it's so much. It's so much to grasp, and you can at 15, man, you can go mess things up for 10 years and slop it up. But that's you and
And
eat
you'll
and eat,
be,
eat.
but then you're still only
You're still only
25
25, and
at that point.
but it's in the slopping up. It's okay. Be excited to slop it up. Like,
Be excited to
yeah, be
fail.
excited. Be enthusiastic about slopping it up. Right? Just know that. Be excited to slop it up. It's gonna
I,
be okay. You know what I mean?
yeah, I think that might be the hardest thing when you fail and when things happen that are setbacks, is keeping the
Yep.
faith that you'll get through it, that you'll get past it. And you can know, there's a difference between knowing and believing. You can know that you'll get through it, and you can know that you can do better than whatever. But believing that is the
You
hardest
got it.
thing.
Yep. Yep. And that
It's
that's it right there, man. I would say, yeah, just keep that there, and believing in yourself, you know, straight up. It's really really
absolutely.
important, really really important, because we are definitely, especially with, I would say, now in this time frame where you guys at. I mean, it's I understand, man. I could, I got some sense of I could only imagine what it's like, the amount of pressure and the amount of consumption of so many different things coming at you all currently at this. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you're literally scrolling through emotions, like scrolling through emotions at a rapid pace. So it's like, hone in. It's gonna be okay. Believe in yourself. Okay, and keep pushing through and be okay, and fell forward just like you were a baby trying to learn how to walk. You don't slop it up. You're gonna fall,
Yeah.
get back up, fall, get back up, stumble it out until you get it, and then walk, jog, sprint. Because I'm
Yeah. I
and
think
here's what I would say, and I'm saying this now. At the age of 41, I didn't realize how amazing 41 is going to be and how youthful it's going to be, because there's no perspective. So I want to make sure that I'm providing that perspective. Like, yo, 15, enjoy it, max it out. It's going to be okay. You know what I mean? It's going to be okay.
absolutely.
Hmm.
And it's very interesting to me because I look at like the timeline of
Yeah.
things and the max it out, and it's interesting because when you turn when you go from 15 to 16 or whatever, 40 to 41, you don't feel
No. Yeah.
different.
It's just, yeah.
Like nothing changed. So why should getting older, why should that number stress you out and be like, "Oh, I don't have much time left." You didn't feel the change.
Yes.
Age change doesn't happen on your birthday. It happens when you injure your back and don't recover
Right, right,
properly.
right, right. It's a gradual
It's
process.
it's just
Yeah, yeah, it's a
interesting.
gradual process. And then, who time clock is that? Is it
Yeah.
like like,
Everyone has their own time clock. And I think also part of that time clock comes down to how are you spending your time when you're young? When you're 15, are you providing value? Are you getting any sort of value? Or are you just laying on the couch all day scrolling through TikTok? But even if you're laying on the couch all day scrolling through TikTok, are you just watching thirst
right,
traps all day
right,
and watching these people you think are
right.
hot? Or are you getting value? Are you watching Gary Vee
Yeah,
talk
there
about
you go.
content? Are
Yep,
you are you getting value
you got
from
it.
it? Because I think that's the biggest issue facing teenagers today is you have all the content in
Oh
the
man,
world and you have an algorithm feeding it to you. It's like picking the right content
yeah.
to watch. Picking the stuff that's going to provide value and not getting obsessed with the stuff that gives because the stuff that provides the least value is going to be the stuff that gives the most instant
You got it.
gratification. Because watching some if you're a girl and you're watching some guy's thirst trap, it's gonna give you a little bit of like a little
Right, right, right.
dopamine boost, but you're not getting long-term value from that versus taking the time to watch something that's gonna be more mundane, less exciting, and a quick not a quick thrill, but down the line that value will be
You got
exponentially
it.
higher.
You got it. And that leads to taking ownership of your mind and realizing that whether you're 10, 15, whether you're 40, whether you're 80, your mind is what you got blessed with. So take ownership of that. That is your land. That's your first real estate opportunity.
The only thing you can truly control is your own
You got it.
mindset.
Yep. And as sooner you
And
realize
so
that, then that's when you can say, "Oh, I need to be conscious of what I'm consuming because the input affects the output." Oh, so maybe let me flip it. Let me
absolutely.
go 80-20. Let me consume things that are valuable. 20%. All right, I'll go with the fun, crazy stuff. But instead of it being 80-20 on the other side, right? No value at all. And then
Absolutely.
you're wondering why
And I,
you're constantly running to bad habits, if you will. Yeah, because input affects the output, and you are what you eat. You know
absolutely.
what I mean? And that's a fact, of across the board, right? So whatever you make the decision with, like I'm
100%.
I'm I'm a collection of the wisdom that I've collected over the years, my brother.
That's what
You see what I'm
everyone's.
saying? Like so,
Exactly.
so it is definitely extremely important because if I'm not inputting value, how would I be able to have this conversation with
You're
you to contribute
out.
value?
And how would you be able to, yeah. If you're not getting the input, you can't get the output. Like if you don't put anything into the coffee machine, it's not going to make coffee.
Right.
It's just if you don't put the coffee in, when the water goes through, it's just
Just
going to
like
be
water.
water. You're going
Right.
to be the same person. Well, where were we? What was I talking about when I lagged out?
We were just on the value aspect when 15. We are talking about what I tell my
Oh
15-year-old
yeah.
self.
Yeah,
Um,
that balance
80-20
of.
consumption of value. Input affects the output.
Oh yeah, I mean we were talking about the coffee. If you
You
put in
got
the if you don't put in the coffee powder, you're not gonna get or
it.
the grounds. You're not gonna get
Right.
none then.
Right. So if you're not inputting success or growth mindset or any of that in, so don't expect it to come out. You put it,
Absolutely.
and then even with life, the little balls that go back and forth, right? And you pull one back and then one comes out.
Yeah.
It's just that's life, right? You put a little bit in, you get a little bit out. You put a lot in, you get a lot out.
One hundred
It is
percent.
it is your land, and you can televise it what you desire. So the screen of your mind is based on what you input, and what you visualize and what you see, and what you decide to participate in. Very simple to understand, but very difficult, very hard to understand. But it's important to get around mentors, coaches, be a part of organizations and networks and environments that are conducive towards pushing you towards that direction. Um, so you can stay on that frequency.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean it's all about input output. That's all life is. Life is
Yeah,
just
for
a
sure.
series of inputs and outputs, and yeah, I mean, dude, I mean, look at this. This has been, I mean, both of us are giving input and output to the other, and this input is going out to the world. This is all it is. That's all it is.
Love it, man. Love it. This is very exciting, man. I really, really appreciate this, and I appreciate you doing it, and appreciate you inviting me
Of
onto it once
course. I
again.
mean, the only reason this exists is because you gave me that little push I needed to get it going.
That's what we
So,
do. That's what we do for one
so
another.
the conversation station hosted by Parker Emerald, inspired by Rodney Ferrell. You know, if it wasn't for you, I mean, I don't know if I would have gotten the ball rolling because all it took was me getting the ball rolling. You know, that's all it
Yeah, yeah,
takes.
yeah. Yeah, you did that
Um,
though. You did it. You did it. That
yeah,
was awesome. That was awesome. Now this is a very, very exciting mission, man.
and
Still.
it's also interesting to see. It's been a year, and the topics shifted a lot. We were talking about like all the meta stuff and that, and now we were just diving into more personal, universal things, and that
Yeah.
also shows the growth of me and the growth of just everyone here.
Oh,
Everyone,
100%. 100%.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
all one. It's all one thing.
yeah. It's all one
It's
thing.
all one thing in different verticals. You know what I'm saying? I love it, but I love the
Absolutely.
growth, man. I really do. I've been able to see it, been able to watch it, so it's really really exciting. It's inspiring to me to consistently make sure that I have the resources and the doors open and available for individuals such as yourself. And as your network continues to grow, right, I can be a source that you call on and say, "Hey, Rod, we got something," or "Hey, Rod, we got an idea." Hey, you know what I mean? Like, just as long as I can be
Absolutely.
in that conversation, there it is.
Absolutely.
You
Thank
know.
you so much for coming on.
Hey, my pleasure, my brother. My pleasure. All right.
Alrighty. Thank you guys at home for watching. I'm Parker Emerald. I've been talking to Mr. Rodney Ferrell, and this has been The Conversation Station.